Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE Battleground 2015 preview and predictions.
Yo, what's going on, guys? John, aka VocalAggression, here alongside my cohort and commentary action with our Battleground preview and predictions video. I gotta say, me and him were just talking about it, and we're both, I think, pretty excited for this show. And for those of you that may be thinking, this seems like a throwaway pay-per-view even with Brock Lesnar on the card, I'm hoping that after our discussion, maybe that the Leo Kruger adage will prove true, and that everything you know will be about to change. So, Ashton, what are you thinking about this show on paper?
Well, I think that the smartest thing for us to do is to address the gigantic elephants, and I said that plural because there might potentially be two of them, in the room right off the bat. First of all, it is all but confirmed that The Undertaker will be at this show. In what capacity, we don't know. We don't know if he's going to be going after Brock or Rollins, but we're assuming it's probably going to have some involvement in that match.
Right. And do you want to address the other elephant in the room, or do you want to kind of talk about this one a little bit first?
Let's just touch on the other one real quick, and then we'll come back to this one. So the other one is, I don't think he's actually set to appear on this show, but both The Undertaker and Sting are set to be in some capacity at SummerSlam.
See, now the crazy thing, Ashton, about these two entities, the Undertaker and Sting, is that we've all been thinking about, their WrestleMania match, this and this and that. But I've been seeing more and more reports that say that WWE higher-ups, mainly Vince and maybe Kevin Dunn, I don't know, seem to be against the idea. They want Undertaker, I think, to face somebody younger or whatever on his way out, because I think everybody's presuming that this is his last year in the company, more specifically his last WrestleMania, which, given the environment and the setting and everything, I can readily believe.
Do we maybe think that The Undertaker's last WrestleMania opponent will be John Cena?
See, I'm hoping not. I actually read something that was a little bit heartbreaking. I mean, maybe it was for the best if we're thinking long term, but I actually read that one rumor was that Kevin Owens was slated to get a shot at The Undertaker, but somebody thought that was a bad idea. And I really like the concept on paper, but maybe we'll look back on this and say we dodged a bullet. But I really am hoping it's not John Cena, and I'm hoping it's somebody not necessarily younger, because that term gets thrown around a lot, but I'm just thinking somebody different.
Well, just out of curiosity, who reported that it might have been Owens?
I read it on No DQ at one point. I don't know if it was reported anywhere else.
Was it in the news section or the articles?
It was in the news section.
Oh, that's curious, because I haven't heard that yet from anyone else.
Yeah, Kevin Owens was a name that, allegedly was thrown around. You know how you and I treat these things. I always say openly on every video, take it with a grain of salt. But, yeah, that was one name thrown around. I'm like, man, that's a really curious idea. Because with Kevin Owens' promo style and everything, I think the promos would be gold. Like, yeah. I think the promo and, atmosphere aspect would be amazing. The match aspect, I think they could tell an amazing story, but I don't know how many people would go for, a great story between those two. I think it all kind of varies on what audience you're in. Considering it was Texas, maybe they would just be happy to have The Undertaker there. I don't know. But we know that it's probably not going to be Kevin Owens. John Cena's been rumored for years. People always saying, man, I want John Cena on Undertaker's list and this and that. But I always thought that Cena would overcome Taker, so I was wary of it. But now that he's lost the streak already, maybe it's gained some appeal. I mean, you put it on the table. What do you think about John Cena?
Well, to me, the appeal to John Cena is potentially The Undertaker going into it as a heel. And what tells me that's a possibility is maybe he'll go after Brock Lesnar? No. Well, actually, maybe he'll go after... I don't know. See, that's my thing. To me, it all comes down to who his target is on Sunday.
Right.
Because there are really just... I can't even say one or two or three even options. There are so many options. If he goes after Brock... that could be Brock randomly turning heel after only being face for about 3 months. Or it could be The Undertaker turning heel, but I don't know if the crowd would accept that. If he goes after Rollins, it would be really easy to call that a babyface Undertaker. But if he goes after Rollins on behalf of the Authority, then The Undertaker's heel. So those are kind of the four potential scenarios that I see.
And, I mean, I know you started a thread on Puitov concerning this very matter. Did you see my comment on it?
I probably did, but remind me.
I was very enthusiastic about it because of the prospect of Taker turning heel.
Yeah, I figured that's what it was.
Yeah,
because there were a lot. Dude, that comment thread got insane.
I loved it, though. I love that you created such like a diverse discussion. But here's my thoughts on the matter, guys, just to put it plainly to everybody. Let's be incredibly frank here for a second. One, I think the idea to use Undertaker for a few more dates outside of WrestleMania is genius, and I think it really does actually kind of bolster the claim this is his last year with the company. And I think, if it's his last year, they want to get as much mileage out of him as possible. B, again, according to my recollection, he hasn't been heel for close to, if not over 13 years. Because I last remember heel Undertaker in 2002. And I think that was early 2002 at that. Um, 3, he's older. That kind of accompanies the whole, the last year kind of doing a farewell tour of sorts for diehard Undertaker fans and just people who appreciate the legacy in general. And because he's older, I think it would probably be better for him to work a heel style rather than, work a certain way as babyface. To be truthful, though, I don't know how much of that would change, but I'm just assuming there would be adaptations in his offense working a heel style. And yeah, I just feel like it opens up very interesting stories because if you're Brock Lesnar, if you're gunning for Brock Lesnar, you can either take issue with the fact that your family was messed with on a very personal level with Kane's leg being shattered, or it could be like that jaded legend, like the one thing I prided myself on, the one thing I hung my proverbial hat on was my streak, and you took it from me, or a combination of both. And I feel like that's a great story to tell there, especially at this stage of his career. I think heel Undertaker is the only way to go, to be honest. Like, if he was still to go the babyface route, I mean, I'd still be intrigued by it all the same, but I'd be like, okay, well, we kind of know what babyface Undertaker's all about at this point. Heel Undertaker, I feel like after being away for so many years, definitely has more intrigue. So I hope he comes back as a heel and picks Brock Lesnar as his target. That's just my feeling on the matter.
Man, I don't even know. This is such a confusing situation because we know the Undertaker's going to show up, but then Falcon Arrow all of a sudden decides that he's done with Reddit because a bunch of people sent him hate mail telling him that he sucks and all this other crap because he spoiled something that they didn't want to be spoiled.
And, look, I can understand people hating spoilers, but I mean,
If you hate spoilers, don't look at the thread that says spoilers.
well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. If the guy titled it appropriately,
He
warned
did.
about
It
spoilers,
was
as
it
he
was
should.
titled appropriately.
Yeah, well then, hate mail unnecessary. Don't click on the damn thing. Um, but here's the more intriguing element to me besides The Undertaker. Sting. Because if Sting and Undertaker, if those rumors are true, which I will say I'm highly skeptical that they don't want Sting and Undertaker to interact, I call BS on that. I just don't see how you don't capitalize on that. But let's entertain the notion for a second. If Sting and Undertaker don't collide, then perhaps the Seth Rollins Triple H rumors were false and you swap out Triple H for Sting. And I was thinking about this the other day, Ashton, because I knew that we were going to be doing this recording soon. I wanted to have some stuff prepped. And I said, you know what? I could buy Seth Rollins and Sting, even if you wanted to kind of justify the beef going as far back as Survivor Series. Keep in mind, Seth Rollins said constantly a few weeks after that loss, it was because of Sting that he lost. So Seth Rollins can say the misery that he had for
You
that
know what
period
though,
was likely
John? Here's my
Sting.
thing. I love where you're going with this, but this is the WWE, and you're asking them to remember a storyline from a year ago.
And that is a problem, given their history. If it
Right.
was like a Lucha Underground, yeah,
Absolutely. But it's
yeah,
not.
and it's not, and that's a problem. But I'm thinking, what other well, let me ask you then, because I mean, you like where I'm going, so it's nothing wrong with me personally, but you're saying the critique is WWE style. So I mean, do you have Sting interact with Rollins, or what
I
do you have
think that
Sting do?
honestly, I don't know what they're going to do with Sting. I'm more focused on trying to figure out what they're going to do with Undertaker because with Undertaker, I mean, is Undertaker coming back because of Kane? Because Kane just got his ankle broken? And if so, is Undertaker going after the guy that did the breaking, or is he going after the guy that's been harassing Kane for the last, 6 months, it feels like?
I don't know, and that's the difficult thing.
And then kicked him while he was down on Raw.
See, logic would tell me Brock Lesnar, and not just because of the assault on Kane, but you can't help, like, if you're looking at this as kayfabe as possible, and maybe I'm projecting too much onto it, which is always difficult, not to do when you're fantasy booking. How can you not interact with the guy that beats you straight up at your stage?
Respect.
WrestleMania. Respect and that whole thing.
No,
And
that's what I'm saying. That's why he would not go after Brock, because he knows Brock is the only man that's ever made The Undertaker look human at WrestleMania. He doesn't want to mess with that again.
Right.
That's the only logic that I can think of, but it's just such a confusing situation just because we have such little information. All we know is Taker's going to be at Battleground. That's it. That's all we know. We know two things. We know, one, Taker's going to be at Battleground, and two, Taker and Sting are going to be at SummerSlam. That's all we know, though. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to just take that next little leap and say Undertaker is almost definitely also going to be at Survivor Series. I don't know in what capacity, but it is his 25th year anniversary at Survivor Series.
Oh yeah, and if I'm correct in my theory that him appearing like at all these dates again is just as kind of like a farewell tour because it's going to be capped off at WrestleMania 32 this year.
And in San Antonio.
He has to be at Survivor Series.
Right.
I mean, 25th anniversary, how can you not? But here's one more note I want to make, and then I'm assuming we'll probably want to move on to this from this topic and move on to the actual card. There is a risk, in my mind, of Undertaker going after Brock Lesnar, and it all comes down to how WWE wants the fans to perceive Brock Lesnar, because he's a very fresh babyface. But those WrestleMania streak wounds have not healed.
No, the crowd still boos Paul Heyman every time he brings it up.
Exactly.
So to me, if you're not going to turn Lesnar back to being a heel, you need to keep him and The Undertaker as far away as possible.
So, in which case, I mean, the only logical choice is he hunts Seth Rollins, and yeah, maybe even, because they've been saying, like, Kane, does a little feud with Seth Rollins or whatever when he comes back. Maybe Brothers of Destruction versus Seth and somebody else. I don't freaking know. But it would be problematic for Taker to square off with Lesnar precisely for that point, Ashton. Paul Heyman still gets the boos when he mentions the streak. And here's the thing. I don't know if, I'm going to love Brock regardless, and I think you are too, because again, he's such an attraction, he's such an entity. But I think I would feel a slight bit of discomfort, him turning heel so prematurely.
Yeah. And
that's
my thing too, is that he could be, here's my thing, Brock Lesnar, now I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to happen, but if John Cena were to ever turn heel, it would be because of Brock Lesnar having success as a babyface.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hell, John Cena, to me, like, he could look at, Brock Lesnar's dominance, his inability to take the title off of him, and then him getting all of this fanfare on top of it.
No, I mean literally just because the WWE needs somebody at the top that moves merch like Cena, and Brock's the only guy on the roster that I think can do that.
Right. Yeah,
that's the only reason I say that, because, like, Cena as a babyface is indestructible because he moves more merch than anyone else. He gets more press than anyone else. He does more make-a-wishes, whatever, than everyone else. But if Brock Lesnar as a babyface gets to the point where he's moving just as much, if not more merch, he's drawing just as many eyes, if not more eyes to the product, and that kind of stuff, that could be the WWE's excuse to say, well, it looks like we don't really need Cena to stay babyface forever anymore. Let's give him a little shot as a heel.
And see, that's the thing. If they were to have that discussion now, I know, right? It must get tired to always hear it, because fans always say at a particular point in Cena's career, now is the time. Now is the time. Well, with Brock Lesnar under contract for 3 years, I think now quite literally is the time. Even if you wanted to experiment with Cena being heel for just a year, knowing that you have Brock Lesnar there to kind of move the merch and everything, why not? But I think, that's a separate discussion on another matter. That just Battleground, I think, and here's the thing too, before we get into the card, because I think it'll be a nice segue. This match, or this whole thing, isn't self-contained, I think, to the main event. I think it has reverberations throughout the card, as we'll see when we, discuss it. So this is big stuff, and I think Undertaker is going to really shift the playing field in a major way, and Sting at SummerSlam, because I'm still wondering what the hell he's going to do. But it's definitely made me exponentially more interested in Battleground than I was initially. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that it all really comes down to how they're going to use Taker, and then from there we can kind of use that as a way to figure out what they're going to do with Sting.
Right.
So it's very confusing, and honestly, it's made my my prediction for the Lesnar versus Rollins match a lot more difficult to finally settle on something. So let's get into our actual predictions. I guess that was a good chunk of our preview. Let's get into our predictions and our pre-show match, which I'm assuming is going to be on the pre-show. King What's Up versus King Barrett for the King of the Ring crown. You would think, logically, Barrett has to win. I'm personally rooting for King What's Up because it'd finally get this whole King moniker off of Barrett and he could go back to being bad news.
You know what? I don't know if it's just because, like, I'm tired of seeing these two in the ring, that maybe I'm not thinking about this match as critically as I should, but I'm actually leaning towards King What's Up here.
To me,
Because,
this is the WWE's opportunity to turn the chicken shit that they have produced themselves into a presentable chicken salad. They
yeah,
could they could use this match and this program to do a double turn. You turn R-Truth into an evil heel king. You turn King Barrett back into Bad News Barrett, but he's a babyface. Bring back the podium, and both guys are better off.
yeah,
Everyone has been clamoring for heel R-Truth, and everyone absolutely loved Bad News Barrett before he dropped the podium and stopped doing the Bad News catchphrase.
God, dude, I am so grateful you brought that up, because I just need to say for just a moment, it is a travesty what they did with Barrett, because I feel like with Bad News Barrett, everything was starting to click for him. They did miss a couple of opportunities that we kind of mentioned, on Twitwell when he was a heel under that moniker and the insane heat he could have gotten at times.
Yep.
But overall, I feel like he was really connecting with the audience and he was forging his own path. And for the first time in a long time, I was confident in the fact, like, oh my God, he may get to the main event level finally. And heel R-Truth, I enjoyed his work. I feel like on the mic and everything, as a personality, definitely one of the better heels on the roster, if not one of the best. So you could do something really great here. Personally, when I say I'm leaning towards King What's Up, I don't think it'll go that far. I think you were kind of half right earlier. I could see Barrett reverting back to his Bad News roots, but I could just see King R-Truth, maybe getting like a segment or two every week. Like, oh, this is my policy to get rid of all spiders and ladders, and like making the mockery of it that he has been. But maybe this is just kind of to serve as a reset for Barrett. So you know what? I'm going to choose King What's Up, and he's just going to continue to parade around with the plunger and the paper crown, and then Barrett's got to find himself again, and he'll find Bad News and hopefully begin an ascent back to the top, because
Yep.
Lord, is it going to take some work.
I
So,
agree. I agree completely. I'm also picking King What's Up. How sad is that? All right. All right. So we have 2 non-title matches on this card and then 3 championship matches. So let's start with the non-title matches and let's start with the less interesting one of the two. Randy Orton versus Sheamus. I think it's pretty clear that Randy Orton's going to win this, but I'd like to hear your output too.
um, see, that's been one of the more confounding things for me personally heading into this preview and predictions about Battleground. Like, what is the heel to face victory ratio on this pay-per-view going to be? And this is one of the matchups where it really, to me, could go either way. You have the classic theory of, Money in the Bank usually loses a lot before cashing in, and there's a reason that's a theory, because there's precedent for it.
Yeah.
That's the reason why it's a thing.
Well, and that's why I'm picking Orton in this.
Right.
Normally, if there was no Money in the Bank involved, I would probably pick Sheamus just to kind of maintain his momentum because I feel like he's lost some lately, but the reason he's lost momentum is because of Money in the Bank, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. So Sheamus is just going to keep losing until he finally decides to cash in.
See, and again, this is kind of what I talk about with the whole rumors we addressed at the start of the video, kind of reverberating throughout the card, because to me, like, if it wasn't for the presence of Taker or Sting down the road, I'd say, you know what? You give Orton the win here, and you find some way for him to get back in the title picture, especially if it was, Lesnar to win the championship, which, let me just say, that's not my official prediction. I am saving that for the appropriate segment.
Dude, I just had a realization.
What's that?
This has nothing to do with the match well, it might have a roundabout something to do with the match we're talking about right now, but what if The Undertaker screwing Seth Rollins out of the title isn't him turning heel, but the Authority, separate from Seth Rollins, turning face?
That's a possibility, sure.
I mean, Triple H and Stephanie have already been basically faces for the last month or so.
Yeah.
Especially Triple H. Stephanie for a week, Triple H for about a month and a half.
Right.
So what if The Undertaker joins them and Kane, and they're more of like a babyface thing, and Rollins stays heel, but he's more kind of like a loner, and then they can use that to kind of make him lose a few matches and eventually build back up as a babyface.
Right, and then as a babyface, maybe even further down the line, you have something, I guess, to either reunite the Shield or do whatever.
Right. See, but what I was thinking was Sheamus loses this match. Maybe this match, Orton-Sheamus jerks the curtain, and Sheamus loses, but then Undertaker costs Seth Rollins the title and attacks Brock Lesnar as a way to kind of be like, hey, man, screw you. You broke my streak. And then Sheamus cashes in on Lesnar. So then we have two separate feuds, Rollins Taker and Lesnar Sheamus, and it keeps Lesnar and Taker relatively separate.
Yeah, I mean, it's intriguing because I don't know the timetable for when it would be appropriate for Sheamus to cash in, seeing as he's a part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 movie.
Yeah, that's the biggest obstacle, but I don't know. I feel like at the very least, if Orton Sheamus opens, I think they're going to at least tease Sheamus cashing in.
Yeah. You know what? I think you're talking a lot of sense. Despite that, though, I think I'm going to go with Sheamus getting the win here.
What?
I just can't see, and see, we always do this, like one match every pay-per-view.
No, you just pulled a complete 180. You're talking about the Money in the Bank thing and how he's always going to lose it. Now you're picking him to win.
No, I'm saying, like, no. Understand me, when I said that, I said there's a reason why that's a thing, and that's why a lot of people were picking Orton to win. I'm just saying, like, the general consensus, not that's separate from my opinion. For me, I can't see what Orton's going to do at SummerSlam. I just don't see what the plans are for him at the moment, with the world title picture being so crowded. And, I mean, there are guys that maybe I'd like to see him work with instead, but,
Well, here's the thing, John. We already know, and this kind of plays into another prediction, but we already know that John Cena has come right out and said if he loses the U.S. title, he's not even going to cash in his rematch clause. Maybe Owens Orton happens at SummerSlam for the U.S. title.
Maybe, and that's definitely a very intriguing idea. I just don't see this. I can't see this as like a one pay-per-view match feud. I could see these guys having a rematch at SummerSlam. That said, I gotta.
And you think Sheamus has to win in order for them to have a rematch?
Not necessarily. I just think that's the route that they're going to choose. So my pick is Sheamus to win.
I'm cheering for Sheamus to win, but I'm still picking Orton to win because of the Money in the Bank.
Right.
So I guess that'll be kind of us locking in our predictions. Now, moving on, our next non-title match, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. I have heard, I just want to throw this out there, that the WWE has plans for this to be a very long feud, potentially even lasting up until WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's insanity to me. Because I've heard the same, right? And I'm not going to indulge so much in that. What I am going to indulge in is, again, my talking point at the start. Now, this is a match I think I was really referring to even more so than Orton Sheamus. Because originally, I didn't know, were they going to do Roman Reigns Lesnar 2? Were they going to have Roman Reigns, face Seth Rollins, get back in the title picture after victory? But now, with what we've heard about Taker and Sting and everything, Roman Reigns, much like Randy Orton, I really don't see what he can do at SummerSlam. So you combine that with the other rumor, which again I still feel like is ludicrous, but I'll indulge it for just a second. I'm actually giving the win to Bray Wyatt here, and I can't believe I'm saying that because a few weeks ago when this match was announced, you and I said that, I was particularly vocal, like there's no way Roman Reigns is losing this match. And to me, I still feel like, in all honesty, it's a bit silly for him to lose this match, considering that he beat Bray Wyatt once before when he wasn't even 100%. So to me, this match's got to have some kind of a dirty finish, whereas like maybe the lights go out, Roman sees his daughter or something, or a voice recording of his daughter, gets distracted, walks into his sister Abigail. Because I just can't believe Bray Wyatt beating 100% Roman Reigns straight up. He's got to play on the mind games he's been building up for the past few weeks for me to buy it. That said, I am picking Bray Wyatt to win this matchup, and believe me, I'm as shocked as any of you hearing this that thought I was going to pick Roman Reigns. So what are you thinking, Ashton?
Oh, man. I'm going to be completely honest with you here, John.
Yeah.
I'm going to be rooting for Roman Reigns to win this match.
Right.
Because if he wins, it probably means that the feud is exactly what I want it to be, and that's a one match off and just done with.
Right.
But I am picking Bray because I feel like they've got to give Roman Reigns something to fight back from.
Yeah. And you know what the crazy thing is, though? Like, and I'm not saying it's a wild majority on the internet, but a lot of people I'm personally seeing, I don't know about you in the Squared Circle subreddit, because I know that's more your scene, I think this feud has done good things for Roman Reigns in a way, because I've heard people say like he seems more confident on the mic and just more likable. I know people have said like they find him more entertaining in doses like this and in segments like this rather than him crowding the main event scene. I think some of it's overly harsh criticism, and you and I have already talked that to death about Roman Reigns. We know our feelings on Roman Reigns. But if it's winning over people, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. I just can't see it lasting a year. I just can't see it going to Mania. That is overkill if I've ever heard it. It doesn't have that animosity of a feud that deserves such a moniker. Now, Ambrose Rollins, I could see that being a type of feud of that nature. But Roman Reigns, Bray, at least right now, I just don't see it. And so, kind of sucks that we're both picking Bray because that just makes me think, what does the future hold?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't know. I keep saying I don't know, but it feels like the WWE just has no clue what to do with Bray Wyatt anymore.
And that's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
Oh man, that's sad. All right. Well, let's move on, I guess.
Yeah.
We're both picking Bray, aren't we?
Yeah, both picking Bray. Nothing really more to say than that, brother.
Yeah, I mean, can I just point out that this whole feud started so awesome with Bray like targeting Roman Reigns' daughter, and now it's just been them trying to beat each other up for the last like 2 or 3 weeks.
I know. I'm glad you said that too, because like I didn't know what you'd think about this or people listening would think about this, but I almost feel like this feud kind of lost its way because it started with such personal stakes, and then I feel like it just became about this weird obsession Bray has with Roman Reigns as an individual. Which, I mean, you could say it kind of started out that way too, but at least it had the more personal element of, I'm so obsessed with you, I'm targeting your own family. Whereas now it's kind of devolved into, I'm obsessed with you because you possess some characteristic or quality I just don't agree with or I want to destroy. A lot like the John Cena feud. But I think it worked with John Cena because it's such a core part of his identity, whereas Roman Reigns, if you kind of want to make him the anti-Cena, which we've gotten inclinations from. I mean, I remember the one segment, you're damn right when Roman Reigns is in the house, John Cena sucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work. Yeah, this feud and see, that's what I think is so disheartening and so dispiriting about picking Bray, because if this feud had the heaviness and the mileage that it did starting out, targeting the family and everything, in all honesty, Ashton, I would be enthusiastically saying, yeah, give me more of this. I mean, again, maybe not a year, that's excessive, but maybe give me like 2 more pay-per-views of this, or even 3, whatever. But it's already kind of lost steam, for me, and I just want to kind of to wrap up and move on. It is really heartbreaking how much I personally have fallen out of love with the Bray character in 2015. Because there was a time I couldn't shut up about the guy, and I really thought he had one of the brightest futures in WWE, and now it's just he is so lost. And Roman Reigns, he's starting to actually win me back, actually, to that whole, like, mark out, Survivor Series and Rumble 2014, like, all those moments. So it's really weird where both these guys are with me, but yeah, let's hope this feud doesn't linger. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man. Shit.
All right. Let's move on.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Let's talk about the tag team championships. Primetime Players versus New Day. This, honestly, out of every match on this freaking card, I think this is the most difficult one for me to pick because I just have no clue how much the WWE wants to push PTP, how much they regret, if they regret at all, putting the titles on PTP, how much they like them, how long they want their title reign to be. Because to me, if it was up to me, the New Day would win the titles back. But
Yeah.
it's not up to me. So I just don't know.
Dude, I just have to say first and foremost, I'm actually kind of relieved you said that because I feel like every pay-per-view you and I do when we come into discussion, you're probably thinking, okay, this seems like a pretty straightforward pay-per-view on paper, and then I open my mouth and you're just, oh god, like what justification he's coming out with. So to know we're both struggling with tag title match, kind of a relief because I always struggle with every pay-per-view card, but this match especially has proven to be thornier in my side than I originally anticipated it being because it's a tag title match, and the tag title division isn't exactly heating up right now, so you really shouldn't be overthinking it, but at the same time, here's the thing, and here's where my thought process is. If you keep the titles on PTP, where do you go from there? Like, if you really care
Yeah,
about
that's my thing too. Like, what are you going to try and build up the Ascension? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, build up the Ascension, go with heel Matadores. Like, what do you do? Whereas with New Day, PTP gets their return match, so that would be maybe SummerSlam. You wrap that up, and then maybe during that time, and I kind of have hope of it because they've been on SmackDown and all that stuff. Maybe you build up Lucha Dragons. I know they had 2 losses to New Day already, but maybe you have them win a #1 contender match and do something and get a little program there. I just feel like there are more possibilities for New Day regaining the tag titles for a second time than PTP, retaining the titles. And here's the thing too, and this is nothing against PTP fans, but I'm not as in love with this reign as I thought I would be. Like, they haven't been bad as champions, but I'm sorry, like, the New Day are just tops. Like, they're running the division right now. And
Yeah.
I still say, like, it's funny to me, Ashton, we've talked about this before, so I won't harp on it too much. But it's still funny to me that when people are like, oh, New Day's lost steam and this, I don't know what product they're watching. Because you sent me, I think, what was it, just last week or 2 weeks ago, the whole Fallout segment they had with JoJo. And you said you were dying, and when I watched it originally, I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. Like, these are guys that whether or not they have the titles, they've still proven to be incredibly entertaining. I just feel like they have more mileage with the titles as an act. I just feel like this team could benefit so much more and therefore benefit the division so much more as a whole with those titles than PTP keeping them, because I feel like you're at a dead end if they retain here. So I'm actually picking New Day to regain the titles, and it does
Yeah.
kind of surprise me a little bit. But yeah, PTP's reign, I kind of feel a disconnect, and I just feel there's greater profitability putting the titles back on the New Day. So
Yeah. And I don't even disagree with you. I am struggling with who to pick in this. And it's not even like, oh, I have my mind made up, but I want to try and build it up like it's some kind of a big dilemma. No, I legitimately, like, even right now, I don't know who I want to pick.
right,
I love both of these teams, but I just feel like the New Day are on a whole different level as far as entertainment goes. But I also feel like PTP haven't really been given much of a chance to show what they can do.
and that's
Or,
fair.
or maybe the alternative is they have been given an opportunity to show what they can do, and they just haven't done anything with it. Because I haven't really felt any connection with PTP other than just Titus O'Neil's random flurries of offense when he gets a hot tag.
See, the funny thing is, I don't know if we can blame PTP for that or WWE, because they have a great story if you
I
think
think
about it.
what
Like,
I feel like as long as PTP has the titles, the only team that they can feud with is New Day. Whereas if you give the New Day the titles, they have more options, because then they can, obviously they'll probably have another match with PTP because of the rematch clause, but then they can feud with the Lucha Dragons. They can feud if Enzo and Cass come up. Because we've already had this discussion, the only other heel team in the WWE right now, other than the New Day, is freaking Blake and Murphy. And the more I see people talk about them, the less I feel like they're getting called up anytime soon.
right, yeah,
So really, it comes down to the New Day is either going to be feuding with PTP, Lucha Dragons, or prime for a call up Enzo and Cass, or PTP is going to be feuding with New Day, or insert name here. I can't think of another heel team. Unless, and this is another possibility that I brought up to you, I think, Brothers of Destruction go after the tag belts.
which is a possibility and would certainly raise the profile of the primetime players and the tag titles by association,
Right.
having a feud of that caliber. I just don't see it. Here's my thing, and I think what it comes down to, and I do kind of feel like an a-hole for saying this, but I don't even say this to be mean-spirited. I think you guys know when I'm trying to troll and when I'm not. Like, I just feel like PTP is kind of like Christian in that vein when he won his first world title, where it's more about the feel-good moment rather than, oh, we have legitimate plans for you in this run. Like, I feel like PTP won these titles because it's like, hey, primetime players fans, you were with them when they were originally together, you saw them through the breakup, and now this is your payoff. They win the tag titles. They win the big one. I never really thought they were meant to have a long reign, and I think you and I even agreed on that. The longest I saw them carrying those belts was maybe 3 months. I never saw them as long-term champions. I just see them dropping it here. I think the feel-good moment is done. They've sapped all they can out of it, and yeah, I'd say New Day go on their second tear. So we'll see.
Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna also pick New Day. As much as I'm
Wow.
struggling to make this pick, I'm going with New Day too, just because. And you know what? This is one of those matches where I might have picked New Day, but if PTP wins, I'm not going to be angry or disappointed or anything.
Right.
It's just going to be like,
Yeah.
okay, well, now what? Like, I'll be more intrigued than anything if PTP wins, because where do they go from here?
That's a very good point, dude. You know, I mean, because the only two routes I see is, you know, you find another team, or the even less likely scenario, they find a reason to turn heel as champions.
Yeah,
And, you know, I just don't see it. I just feel such a disconnect with both ideas. And it's nothing, again, against PTP. I just feel like it's a combination of the state of the tag division and WWE, even though they're a 3-hour program and you'd think they'd give these guys something more, I feel like they just really haven't been given a platform to really tell us their story. Because again, I think it's a great story.
it
You have a team,
sucks too, because it all comes back to Tyson Kidd's injury.
Yeah, man.
Because you can't help but feel like if had he not gotten hurt, he and Cesaro would probably still be in the tag picture as baby faces. They
Right.
probably would have gotten the titles instead of PTP.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because I mean, they were really chasing New Day,
Yeah.
and they were having that series of tag matches.
Yeah.
So, you know, BTE, you know, best team ever, as Cesaro and Tyson like to call themselves.
Yeah.
Their loss is PTP's gain.
Yeah. It's such a shame. I mean, it's not a shame for PTP, but it's a shame because of Tyson's injury. And I mean, I can't even say, and this is one thing that I absolutely love about something that WWE's been doing lately is I love that the WWE didn't let Tyson Kidd's injury also drag Cesaro down, because that's happened.
Yes.
That has happened in the past.
Dude, completely agree with you. And believe me, this won't be the first time Cesaro's name comes out of our mouths, you know, with another matchup we have on this card, which we'll discuss soon.
Which is
But,
actually the next match, John Cena versus Kevin Owens for the U.S. title.
all right. Well, all right. You know what? We're going to do something a little different. Because every time we do this, it's normally me shooting off at the mouth about what I think, and then you brilliantly either tear it apart or supplement it, or one of the two. So, here's my opening question to you. I'm going to pass the ball to you for a change. Do you think it's as straightforward as everybody's making it out to be that Kevin Owens is going to win this match?
No.
Or are you in a different camp?
I am so worried about this match. I don't even know if this match is going to have a finish, John.
And you know what the crazy thing is? Once again, relieved, mind you, but once again, I agree with you, because I just like I don't know if you're the same way. Again, I know.
Do you have
Square
any
knows
idea
this,
how
Steven.
much? Do you have any idea how much I would have just loved to been like John Cena versus Kevin Owens? Obviously, Kevin Owens is winning the U.S. title. Let's move on.
Yeah, but
But it's John Cena.
it's John Cena.
It's John Cena.
And everybody's been, yeah, it's John Cena, and just everybody's been loving the U.S. Open channel. But it's crazy though, because despite our reservations, everywhere I look, it's two strains of commentary. Either Kevin Owens just wins, very straightforward, or I guess in a similar vein, people are saying Kevin Owens has to win, which I guess implies that they do feel doubt like we do, but they're still really strongly pointing in one direction. Now, let me make something clear here. I think everybody and their mother knows I love Kevin Owens. If you bother to listen to any live reactions that man is on, or NXT review or whatever, you know I love every vile thing that man does. For God's sakes, I was hoping he was going to powerbomb Hideo Itami again, and the man has an injured shoulder. Like, the man suffered enough. So I freaking love Kevin Owens. But I don't think it's the end of the world that everybody's making it out to be if he doesn't beat John Cena here. I've never gotten that vibe. Kevin Owens, to me, while I would love to see him as U.S. champion, you know, especially in the nature that he loses, because you just alluded to the fact this match may not even have a finish. Well, let's talk about the most recent event. You know, obviously Cesaro and Kevin Owens have beef. They've had beef for a while now, and even this past Thursday on SmackDown, Cesaro, when he was walking, you know, through backstage, you know, going and getting ready for his match with Rusev, he runs into Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens is just like, good luck out there, bud. Just like, yeah, you know, do your thing, but I'm still better than you, kind of Kevin Owens way. So, you know, those two aren't done with each other. A lot of people have said that SummerSlam's kind of looking like Kevin Owens versus Cesaro for the U.S. Championship. But here's the thing, too. Why should Kevin Owens get his match when he's already screwed Rusev and Cesaro out of the championship at one point? And Neville, if you want to think even... No, that was Rusev, sorry. Can't count Neville there. But you can say Rusev and Cesaro for Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
So why, if everybody is so staunchly, and I love this, and again, this isn't to be too overly critical, but come on, guys. Everybody's saying Kevin Owens needs to beat John Cena. Does he really? Because to me,
Here,
when you're a heel,
John, let me interject here. I think he does. I think Kevin Owens does need to beat John Cena. What I don't think is that it needs to be at Battleground.
yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? I mean, by all accounts, where I was going with this, Kevin Owens would, by technicality, beat John Cena. He just wouldn't win the championship.
By
Because
DQ.
yeah, because the way I see it, Cesaro's going to run in and cost Kevin Owens this match, and maybe Rusev too. I mean, honestly, Ashton, I don't know if you see that kind of calamity. I don't think a fatal four-way at SummerSlam. Maybe you have a triple threat rematch with the winner going to SummerSlam, like on an episode of Raw or something. So I do think we're only going to weed out one contender for SummerSlam, but Rusev and Cesaro aren't going to let Kevin Owens get his chance. Are you kidding me? After he screwed both guys over, why, if we're thinking logically, and wrestling fans always say, oh, WWE, doesn't make much sense. I wish they'd be more sensible about things. Well, let's think about it logically. Why would you let the guy that screwed you out of something you wanted get the chance of something you wanted straight up, fair and square? I wouldn't. I'd be like, screw that guy, and I'd go out and I'd mess up his chance. Pop up powerbomb, he goes for the pin, I run in there, I stomp a hole in his head. Like, I just can't see Cesaro and Rusev going peaceably. So my prediction, without prattling on, Kevin Owens wins, but by disqualification, and therefore not your United States champion, and these U.S. Championship Open challenges and everything else will continue on to SummerSlam. And SummerSlam, well, that's for SummerSlam preview and predictions, and that's quite a ways away. So, Ashton, I want to know your kind of sentiments on this whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like Cena, to me, I wouldn't mind a DQ finish, but I do feel like Cena could win this match and it wouldn't hurt Owens much.
Right.
I mean, I would probably be angry on live reactions, but that's just because I love Kevin Owens so much and I don't want him to become just another victim of the Cena ceiling.
Right.
But to me, I think that the WWE knows that Kevin Owens needs to eventually be the one to take the title off Cena.
And I would agree with you there. I don't think it's lost on them.
I think it might even be as far out as Night of Champions, but I do think that Owens will be the one to take the title off Cena. But my thing is, I'm not ready for the U.S. Open Challenge to be over yet.
Oh, me either. I'm loving these too much.
Yeah. So when Cena gets that pinfall that I am dreading watching the ref's hand hit the ground for 3, I'll just have to keep reminding myself, U.S. Open challenges are going to keep going. U.S. Open challenge, U.S. Open challenge. This is going to keep going. We're going to keep getting amazing matches every week. And I think that'll make it worth it. To me, it really just comes down to people are going to bitch and complain. And, oh, my God, I can't believe John Cena beat Kevin Owens 2 times in a row. But in my opinion, I don't think it's okay to complain until Owens and Cena's dust is settled. And if the dust settles and Cena comes out on top, then I'll be complaining and I'll be pissed off. But I don't think the dust is going to settle for at least another month or 2.
So I'm still kind of struggling because I know at one vein you said like you do belong in the camp thing that Kevin Owens needs to beat John Cena, but not at Battleground. You did qualify that. You said not at Battleground.
No, I'm not saying he shouldn't beat Cena at Battleground. What I'm saying is that even though I think he does need to beat Cena, it doesn't necessarily need to be at Battleground.
Right. So your prediction for Battleground, I mean, are you saying straight up that Cena is going to retain, or are you thinking like me that we could have a non-finish here and just like get a winner that way?
I am picking Cena to win by pinfall.
Wow, okay. Very interesting.
Well, because my thing is Kevin Owens is such a douchebag, he can just keep inserting himself into the title picture.
Right. Definitely.
Like, that's like the ultimate heel thing to do. Like, oh, you beat me and you think you got rid of me? Well, guess what? I'm coming after you again, and I'm just going to keep on doing things that screw you over and piss you off until you give me another title shot. And that's just such a Kevin Owens thing to do.
Very interesting dichotomy between you, and I think it's very rare that, like, I go a non-match finish route. Again, Kevin Owens winning, but by DQ. And you're picking Cena to get the clean pinfall win. Very interesting.
Yeah, well, and then I think that they might even do a number 1 contenders match for the U.S. title at SummerSlam. We might get like Cena versus, maybe Cena will be going against Rusev or Cesaro, one of those 2 guys at SummerSlam. And then Kevin Owens is in like a triple threat number one contenders match with whoever Cena's not going against and Dean Ambrose or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I like that thought process. I do. I think our differing predictions has actually made me even more excited for this match, which is already saying something. Because I mean, obviously, this is one of the most anticipated matches on the
I mean,
card.
honestly, the thing about this match that would make me the happiest is Kevin Owens wins clean.
Yeah, definitely.
That's to me, that's like the ultimate. Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. High spots. Yeah, that's my high spot.
Right, right. And here's the thing too. I wouldn't even necessarily write off the prospect of like open challenges, with Kevin Owens. I could see him continuing that tradition, even out of just sheer arrogance. Like just wanting to continue to rub the salt in Cena's wounds. So, like, I'd keep my mind open to that possibility. I just don't think it's time. And again, I'm just trying to think this guy has constantly inserted himself in places where other people are telling him, Kevin, you don't belong. And obviously, I love that Kevin does it anyway because he doesn't care. But he's meddled in other people's affairs, and I think the chickens are going to come home to roost, at least starting to, at Battleground. I don't think Cesaro and Rusev are going to stand idly by while this happens, and I definitely sense a run-in coming. So, yeah, we'll see how that all translates into SummerSlam, though. It's going to be crazy, dude.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing about Battleground is that it's the first step on the road to SummerSlam.
I mean, really, when you look at this pay-per-view from certain angles, it really does exist, I think, to build towards SummerSlam,
But the crazy thing is, Falcon Arrow even came right out and said people aren't talking enough about Battleground, specifically the main event. It's going to be a bigger deal than you think.
Right, yeah, exactly. Oh, man, what's going to happen?
And speaking of the main event...
Oh, wow, we're there already, aren't we?
We are.
Shit. Yeah. It's crazy.
Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman obviously at ringside. Undertaker's supposed to make an appearance. I think my biggest question is, will Undertaker's appearance play a part into the match outcome or be post-match?
That's another thing, too, I was thinking about late yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about Undertaker. I've been thinking about, like, this cheesy ref bump. Lights go out. Taker reemerges. Heyman has, like, a face that's like, oh, my God. And then Lesnar gets taken out. But, it's not that straightforward. In fact, this entire matchup isn't as straightforward as I thought it was going to be, because we all knew this match was going to happen sometime down the road. I mean, we knew it was inevitable. And when it did, I'm thinking, oh, well, that's easy enough. Lesnar destroys the heel, gets the title back that he never lost. A, B, C, we all go home happy.
Can I make a little bit of a declarative statement right now?
Sure.
Seth Rollins is the worst WWE champion that we have had in years.
Oh, you too? Oh, why? I thought you and I were kind of on the same page that Rollins, I think, is getting unnecessary hate, and that he's a good champion. Cutting good promos and stuff, and like doing.
He cuts good promos and he has good matches, but everything about the way that he's been booked is awful. I appreciate Seth Rollins as a talent, but I feel like this title run of his has been a failure.
Oh, right in the heart, dude. I mean, so okay, but let me ask you this, breaking it down by percentage, like how much of that do you put on WWE Creative and how much of that do you put on Seth Rollins?
99% on creative.
Oh, thank goodness. So you would trust Seth Rollins again with the championship, but maybe just a completely different route than what we've done here.
I would say the 1% that I would put on Seth Rollins is because it feels like he's cutting the same promo every single week.
Right, and that's fair.
And that might even be partially on creative as well, but to me, I mean, he's controlling the words coming out of his mouth. He could change it up. He doesn't have to say, I'm going to go to Suplex City and I'm going to burn it to the ground 4 times over the course of 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you there.
But the way that he has been booked, this whole angle really with Brock has been awful, with the fact that he's had all this backup, and with all the backup they were able to kind of get the better of Brock, but ever since, and all it took was like one guy to get hurt, and now all of a sudden like Brock gets the upper hand every time. And now even if you go back further, before, like the feud with Dean Ambrose I thought was awful. I think you even knew that.
Yeah.
I feel like Rollins' entire title run has felt like a waste of time. Like I feel like it would have been better off on Reigns, for God's sakes.
Oh, man. See, I think when you put it that way, I can be more sympathetic to the view of people not liking Seth Rollins. I will stand by the claim that I think it's unfair that people dislike Rollins' reign because he's this cowardly heel. Because I think that's what he was always meant to
Well,
be.
and
He was
see,
never
no,
meant
I
to
don't
be
even have a
these.
problem with that. I don't have a problem
Right.
with Rollins being a cowardly heel champion because it reminds me of like an Edge or like a early 2000s Triple H. But what I don't like is that he is completely incapable of actually winning a match by himself. I mean,
Right.
you could say, sure, like the whole match with Ambrose, the ladder match where he beat the crap out of him, but that felt so forced, and he beat Ambrose up so much, and Ambrose still managed to come back and tie him for the title, basically.
Yeah.
I just hate that Rollins has basically gotten to the point that he can't win a match by himself, and yet he still keeps on holding on to the title. I get that he's a chicken shit heel. I understand that, but to me, I think that there are, like, if you want to talk about chicken shit heels in WWE, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, look no further than the Miz's title run in 2012, 2011,
2010, I thought it was. Like, yeah,
or whenever that was, because to me that was a decent chicken shit heel title run. That was like reminiscent of like early 80s Ric Flair. You lose every match and then you get to the world title match and you just slip out as the champion. I feel like Rollins has kind of done that, but it just doesn't come off as well. I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not working for me with Rollins. I think that if Rollins is ever going to be a champion again, it needs to be as an underdog babyface.
Oh, I completely agree with you there. In fact, I think I've even been saying for a while, like, I think Rollins' true stardom and his true greatness is going to shine when he's that top babyface.
Yeah, and to me, that's an opportunity missed because Rollins, and I think the worst part about this whole angle with Rollins has been the way the Authority has treated him. Because Triple H has basically given him the worst advice ever this whole time. And I think, you know what, now that I think about it, I think what really sucks about his character is how dumb he is. He is, like, he's supposed to be a smart character. Like, you're thinking, like, Edge, like, you know, the ultimate opportunist. And the only thing opportunist about him is the slimy way he manages to win matches, or not even win matches, but walk away with the title. He's so dumb.
Yeah. I gotta say, your criticisms are far more legitimate than simply, oh, he's a chicken shit heel and I don't like that brand of heel.
No, I mean,
Like,
I'm not a
you know,
big fan of that brand of heel, but I've seen that brand of heel done right, and I don't completely hate it. I feel like Rollins doesn't do it right, and I feel like the way he's been written makes him look really, really stupid. Like, he's been getting made to look really stupid for a while now since he's been in the Authority. I mean, we don't really need to go much further back than the night that Randy Orton told him to his face what he was going to do to him, and then he just said, "I'm kidding," and he believed him.
yeah, I will say, like, if I had one glaring criticism of this title reign, it would be that. Because what was I saying when Rollins, like, won the championship as a heel? I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. He's going to be such a cerebral champion. You know, like, they called him
And
the
then
event.
like,
Like, yeah,
the whole scene with Brock destroying the car. Well, you're in the ring with J&J Security and you all have axe handles. What do you think Brock is going to do? Do you really think he's going to charge in there just to get beat down 3-on-1 with a bunch of axe handles? I mean, I understand that Brock Lesnar isn't exactly the smartest looking human being on the planet, but even a Neanderthal would have been smart enough not to do that.
and here's the thing, too. I mean, Seth Rollins, who we always kind of admire because he seemed to be, like, leading the helm of the Shield, and that included Dean Ambrose and Roman freaking Reigns. Like, I thought it was pretty stupid. Well, you just let Joey Mercury go out into waters by himself. He's going to die. Yeah, that's
Well,
not
and
going
then
to
you
work.
go to the following week, this past week. Why is he relying on Kane for a plan?
Yeah, why can't you come up with your own plan?
Yeah.
You know, if you're supposed to be the architect, isn't that what architects do? They make blueprints and they,
Yeah.
enact that. Yeah, God damn it, Ash, you do this every time. I'm like, oh no, and then you make me see your ways. But yeah, I mean that is one glaring problem. To be fair, that I too have had for a
Now
while.
let
Like,
me just
where's the
be
architect?
perfectly clear. Honestly, I don't dislike Seth Rollins as a performer. I
Right.
just I just think that this whole role, the way he's been written and everything, has been terrible. I am rooting for him to succeed in the future as a babyface, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay, can I just ask one more question just to get your full thoughts on things?
Sure.
Do you feel like Rollins just can't work as a heel, but do you think he can work as a heel? This particular vein, him being a champion in the whole Authority Association,
I
this
think
just
that
wasn't
Seth Rollins, the Ultimate Opportunist 2.0, would be amazing, but
right.
the way that he's been written is awful.
And then let me say this too, to kind of work off of Ashton's commentary, and I guess I'll take the ball back here and give my full 2 cents. But I really enjoyed hearing that, because again, that was far more flavorful and dimensional than, oh, I just don't like his particular brand of heel, and at least you gave him more credit than that, which I appreciate. This is why I'm really tired of the Authority angle, though, because I mean, really, I can't really argue any of Ashton's points here, guys, and I think it
Well, and
really
that's
crushed
kind
him.
of why I was leaning towards maybe rather than the Authority being like this top heel faction, maybe they just turn face and relegate themselves to a more behind the scenes role where they're just maybe like a couple of guys get into a confrontation in the ring and they just kind of come out and they're like, okay, well, fine, you guys have a match. Rather than
It's
opening up a show with a half-hour Authority promo.
I see, like, I understand where you're coming from, but I think the one problem I've had with that I just can't overcome, like, and I think it's apropos because everybody knows we're gonna have a Ring of Honor review coming later tonight anyway. Um, what I love about Ring of Honor is that Nigel McGuinness seems to be like the figurehead there,
Right.
the authority figure, and he's babyface. Why that
He's
works
neutral.
though? Well, he's neutral, but he seems to, I guess, have more babyface tendencies whenever we see him. Like,
I
he
mean, he's
gives
got a
matches
moral code, but he's still very, very objective and plays the middle.
I'll give it to you there, but again, like, I've never seen him be slimy, and even in neutral, like, he does seem to appreciate the crowd. Like, crowd wants something, he'll indulge, you know.
Right.
So he does seem to have babyface tendencies. My point, but it still works, neutral, babyface, whatever. Because I mean, look at the House of Truth right now.
Yeah.
Jay Lethal's on top of the freaking world, and he's got the muscle to back it up. Like, that's why it works. If you're gonna have a face authority figure, which I'm not opposed to, you need a heel that is wreaking havoc and causing hell for your brand. And we just got done verbally, I don't want to say castrating because you and I really like Seth Rollins, but really verbally critiquing his reign
You
and
know
saying
who
that
could
this is
play
pretty
that
much
role, though?
who can play that. Well,
It's
I was
Kevin
thinking
Owens.
Kevin Owens, yeah. Kevin Owens could do that, sure. If Kevin Owens were to win the championship, yeah, he could cause a lot of problems with the Authority. The only other person I can think of that's not Kevin Owens would be Brock Lesnar, but again, we already kind of had that discussion earlier.
Yeah.
It's too soon to turn him back to being a heel.
Yeah.
So, but then the question remains, like, if you're going to do this babyface Authority experiment, which I'm not opposed to, you've got to have a legitimate heel in place, though, causing havoc. How do we get Kevin Owens the championship? Because he's so tied up with John Cena right now. Like, it's just, to me, it's too much to overcome logically. Um, so obviously this whole ride with Rollins and the Authority, I don't think it's over. And to kind of bring it full circle and finally give a prediction to, get the ball moving,
I'm
considering
picking
the
Seth Rollins.
Beg pardon?
I'm picking Seth Rollins.
Oh wow, you just had to get it out first, didn't you? But yeah, with the Undertaker and everything else, I have to agree with you. I'm picking Seth Rollins to retain.
I
But
said
I'm
it
gonna
first, though.
beg pardon.
I said it first, though.
God, you're such a douche. But I let me just qualify here. I'm gonna say to you guys what I said to our good friend Gordon in a conversation. If Seth Rollins is gonna beat the Undertaker, and I'm thinking that like he would pin him because I could see like the boasting and the bragging of Seth Rollins afterwards, and I think WWE thinks it's too good not to take advantage of. I want it to kind of be like an Eddie Guerrero situation where if Undertaker like chokeslams or tombstones Brock Lesnar, Lesnar kicks out of the initial pin attempt. Like if Rollins is going to put away Lesnar, I don't care how bad it looks, Rollins needs to hit a pedigree or something and then get the definitive win. Because, I mean, we still want to retain the fact that Lesnar is this kind of beast it's really difficult to put down with his last breath.
You know what, dude? I'm going to actually change things up a little bit. I'm picking Lesnar to win by disqualification.
Wow.
So I think Rollins is going to keep the title, but I don't think Rollins is going to win the match.
This is so weird. I think this is a very rare pay-per-view, if not the first, where like I pick a non-finish for one match,
Well,
the
and I
U.S.
could even
Championship match.
see Rollins winning via countout. I don't know. Like, I feel like this is going to have a non-finish. I don't know who's going to win or what the situation is going to be, but I do feel like this match is not going to have a finish.
All right. Well, I'm still picking Seth Rollins to win by pinfall, and that
If I had it
shocks me.
my way, Brock Lesnar would win via ref stoppage.
Right.
That would be the most satisfying thing in the world, but the WWE hates satisfying their customers.
It's so true. So, all right, just to clear things up and really finalize them. Me, Seth Rollins via pinfall. You, Brock Lesnar via DQ.
No, me, no finish. Seth Rollins retains the title. I don't know how.
Okay.
I'm not going to put any kind of specification on it. Just no finish. Rollins retains.
Being as ambiguous as possible, huh?
I'm not being ambiguous. I just don't know what. I don't want to try and guess something specific when I don't really have anything in mind.
Well,
Oh,
all
shut up. I'm just
But
going
I
to
said
tell you what. Let me say this. Seth Rollins retains the title because of Undertaker. Let me put it that way.
Well, I guess that's putting a few more of your chips on the table, mister. I said it first. Couldn't even follow through. But, all
I'm
right,
going to hang up on you.
we both have our calamitous situations for the main event. And yeah, dude, like, I'll close out my sentiments on this show by saying this. If you would have asked me before the rumor leak how excited I was for this pay-per-view, being completely honest, I probably would have given it about a 6. But I think given the rumors that we've gotten and getting more excited after discussion with these matchups, I'd say it's about like an 8.5, 9 area. I'm really looking forward to this show now.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it at an 8.
That's fair enough. That's a modest score.
Yeah.
All right, anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's everything. I'm gonna have to whip up a background for this and put that up, and we're gonna have our ROH Twit Wow tonight, and then tomorrow we'll be doing our Battleground live reactions, and then are you ready? G1 begins on Monday.
By the way, I want to make a quick note about that. Thank you to everyone so far who has commented on our G1 Climax hype video. If you have not yet, you can see it on Edge's channel. I would still love to get some predictions from you guys before the tournament starts because I love some people's ideas. It was really cool to see, and I just want to say I really appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's always appreciated. Our number one thing, I mean, you can like our video, favorite, subscribe, whatever, comment. That's our biggest thing. We wanna have a discussion with wrestling fans. That's our thing.
Absolutely, guys.
All right, we're gonna close this on out. We will see you guys for our ROH Twit Wow tonight.